I think I made a breakthrough on this one, guys. You really need to let me cook. Captain America Brave New World just finished up 22 days of reshoots that are set to massively shake up the film. Similarly to Daredevil Born Again, Marvel saw that parts of the movies weren't working and decided to course correct with a new direction that'll make for an even better film. Now, me personally, I would have just done things right the first time around, but as a massive Captain America fan, I'm just happy to see them putting in the effort to make this movie work. And it seems like the reshoots have done just that, as Marvel has reconfigured the movie to be more in line with what's come before. The first major way that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about is that they brought back Winter Soldier's fight choreographer, James Young. That man is responsible for arguably the best action scene in the entire MCU, so I can't explain just how big of a win this is for us. We're really about to see more peak Captain America action, just with the added inclusion of wings this time, which sounds like it's gonna go crazy to me. But it comes with the unfortunate cost of losing their Serpent Societies. It's rumored that they were cut from the movie, which is a shame, but it does leave room for them to appear in the future. I will say though, it is incredibly funny that this is now the second time Marvel has teased the group of snake-themed villains in the MCU, and in a Captain America movie, only for them to just not appear at all. Nevertheless, all hope isn't lost, as in their place seems to be the added inclusion of the one and only Giancarlo Esposito. One of the most talented and busiest actors working today. There's no doubt you've seen him playing terrifying villains in hit shows like Breaking Bad, The Mandalorian, The Boys, DuckTales? Alright, and now Captain America Brave New World. His name's been thrown around for years in fan casting discussions for different Marvel characters, and now it's finally become a reality. But since his casting announcement all the way back in May, there's been one question on my mind. Who the hell is he playing? But here's the thing, if we want to figure out his mystery villain role, then we gotta look through all the clues. Let me put on my silly detective hat because I'm on the case. This is now a mystery themed video. Do I have to put on a funny voice for this? Okay, I'm really sorry you had to hear that. Let's just get on with it. Through different interviews, inside scoops, and official reports, we've gotten a few key insights that'll help narrow down some potential choices for his character. So far, we know the following. In his own words, it's a role you won't predict, but damn it, I have to try no matter how insane it drives me. His character has been described as an antagonistic agent of chaos, which I understand to be more of a gray area. Possibly an anti-hero? The fact that the word villain has been excluded is possibly an important thing to keep in mind. Even before he was announced for Brave New World's cast, he casually said that it will be teased and there will be a series afterwards, so that makes me feel like it's going to be a big name. It won't be someone who's one and done or some unimportant government official. This is a character with longevity in the MCU. Then, the most important clue we have is something that I feel like a lot of people have been misinterpreting. Let me just read the full quote so there's no confusion. I think that there's something about being original. We've seen different versions of Professor X. Wouldn't you like to see me play a character in a Marvel movie who is original and new and fresh? So mark my words, this will happen sooner than you think. I interpret that as a character who hasn't been adapted before. A lot of people have hung on to the original and fresh, but in the full context to me, I feel like he's trying to say that he wants a character without a legacy that he can put his own spin on. Plus, if he is just playing an original character, I can't make a video on that because it's impossible to guess that, so we're just gonna go with an unadapted antagonist. The final clue I have written down here is just that he's a real badass, but honestly, I can't tell you how little that narrows it down, so I'm not sure why I included that. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say he's not going to be Professor X, Norman Osborn, or Doctor Doom. Those characters don't fit the criteria no matter how much people have been clamoring for him to fill one of those roles over the years. I'm sure some people are going to be disappointed by that, but it just makes me more excited. We're about to get someone really surprising, which has my gears turning. Putting all these clues together gives us a lot of options for this, many of them unrealistic, so how about I just go over like 3 or 4 potential choices? I think that sounds good. Wait, hold on, what's that? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Alright, hi everyone, not to break the fourth wall too much, but in the time that I recorded the video, the name of his rumored role was actually released, which is just my luck. After spending all this time theorizing, of course it just gets dumped online right after I finish doing all the hard work. So, I'm getting word now that he's rumored to be playing a character named George Washington Bridge. Yes, that is his real name, I'm not joking. Now, this scooper is on fraud watch after getting a lot wrong, so take this with a huge grain of salt, but let me just break down who this guy is for you just in case it is correct. To make a long story short, he's basically one of Marvel's many mercenaries who has a history with Cable and the X-Force. As a high-ranking member of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's a super spy able to kill anyone without even leaving a trace. A true wildcard pick to say the least, and a character that absolutely nobody would have expected, so it fits the bill for all of our silly little clues. At one point, the character also did put together a task force to take down the Punisher, so maybe the series teases for Born Again Season 2 or a new Punisher reboot? It's hard to say, but it all checks out. He's far from my favorite choice for Giancarlo, but he'd absolutely be able to make it work. Only time will tell how it all shakes out, but now this video is about to age horribly, so thanks for that, scoopers. Anyways, let's get back to our regularly scheduled content. How about we start off with the most insane choice, but also someone who's shockingly realistic. It's none other than Raoul Bushman, a deadly mercenary, dangerous terrorist, and an agent of chaos. Now, if you know your comic lore, first of all, haha, nerd. Oh, wait. But also, you'd be aware that he's an arch-enemy of Moon Knight. The two of them started out as partners, making a fortune through horrific murders. Once Mark got cold feet, though, he left him for dead in the middle of the desert. This dude was responsible for the creation of Moon Knight himself and has spent the entirety of his comic career paying for it in some really brutal ways. It may be confusing at first to have him appear in this movie, but I need you to listen carefully. When Brave New World's reshoots went underway, it was announced that Matthew Orton was coming on board to write new material. Curiously enough, he was a consulting producer on Moon Knight and a co-writer of episode 5 of the series. The only episode to directly name-drop Bushman himself. That's right, it may be a reach, but you cannot deny it adds up. It's very possible that they brought a Moon Knight writer on to specifically write this character, or maybe he made the inclusion himself, but there's something going on there that connects him to Giancarlo. Giancarlo also said that the character is going to appear in a series later on down the line. Who's to say that isn't season 2 of Moon Knight? It would finally let us see Mark confront his dark past head on and bring their iconic rivalry to life, maybe even with some terrifying face cutting and all. I hope I can show that in a YouTube video because god is it gnarly. And I mean, come on, Giancarlo is obviously someone who's familiar with getting his face torn off. I'll admit, introducing him here is a little out of place since Bushman only has connections to Moon Knight and, to my knowledge, has never interacted with Captain America, but he's a mercenary. All it takes is the right price and he'll try and kill anyone. And trust me, there's nobody more chaotic than Bushman. Who's to say that President Ross doesn't hire him to kill Sam for not falling in line with his bad orders? It would be a fun way to introduce this character into the universe and give casual audiences a taste, then allow them to see more of him in the follow-up series. Even the look of the character kind of lines up. All he's missing is the face tattoo and bam, you've got your Bushman. I really think that there's a strong chance that this is who he's playing in the film, even if it is out of left field. But if you're not sold, I have another likely candidate in mind. Now that Marvel has been slowly introducing more and more X-Men related characters, maybe they can use the reshoots to add one more in here. Maybe even a character who's appeared in the movies before? How about someone like Agent Zero? Oh, you don't remember what movie he was in? Yeah, he was a small role in Origins Wolverine, the really bad one. But I think it is possible that he appears in this movie for a wide variety of reasons that I will now explain. Let me be honest though, the main reason I think that he's Agent Zero is the similarity in the costumes. Cross-referencing him between a bunch of other potential villains, Giancarlo's drip matches up the most with him, even if it is a little generic. The jacket with the hint of green, along with him being strapped up with knives, lines up way too well for it to be a coincidence. All he's missing is that Zemo-esque sock mask and bam, you've got the man himself. And hey, who knows, maybe he has that mask on during the actual fight scenes. To tie him into this movie's plot though, there is a connection that could make this work. Brave New World has heavily been rumored to include the Celestial in the ocean from Eternals, which, spoilers ahead, is going to be made of adamantium. And that's how the metal is introduced into the MCU. This will start a resource war that has countries fighting over ownership of the big man as Captain America's at the center trying to ease tensions. In the comics, Agent Zero over here is heavily tied to the Weapon X program, as someone helping them carry out the experiment, which we all know involves binding adamantium to Wolverine's bones. Now you see what I'm starting to get at here, right? With adamantium in the mix, perhaps the MCU is looking to restart their weapons program. The US government could put Agent Zero on the case to kill Captain America and allow them to get their hands on this precious metal without his interference. He's also much more of an anti-hero who hates what he's doing, but only joined the program because he was horrifically injured and needs to survive. This would bring that antagonistic agent of chaos aspect to the movie as his actions are unpredictable. And hold on, wait a second, what's this? It says right here that he's a badass? Oh my god, maybe I shouldn't have disregarded that piece of info at the start. It's all coming together now. Or maybe it's not and I'm just clutching at any straw I can to make this work. I wouldn't say I'm the most confident about this one, but the pieces are objectively all there to make this work. But hey, I got one last choice if you still don't think I'm cooking with these options. If you've been paying attention to everything that Marvel has officially announced regarding Brave New World, then you're aware that there are a lot of Hulk characters appearing in this movie. The leader was announced as the main villain of the film, so his big dumb green head is going to be around. Liv Tyler was surprisingly confirmed to appear as Betty Ross again for the first time since 2008's Incredible Hulk. And of course, Harrison Ford is starring as the President of the United States, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who will absolutely become the Red Hulk at some point in the movie. And at that point, what's one more Hulk-related character? I have a feeling that Giancarlo could be playing General Reginald Fortean. Now, I like you guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I had no clue who he was before researching this video, so if you didn't either, that's totally fine. That being said, I think you could make a strong argument for this being Giancarlo's role. He's one of Ross's most loyal and best soldiers, so of course it would make sense to include him in a movie like this. Interestingly enough though, he's also a Red Hulk hater. I mean, this man is preying on his downfall, so maybe that's his role in the story here. Fortean starts out on Ross's side and against Sam, but once he loses it as the Red Hulk, he switches sides to try and put him down for good. Fortean doesn't traditionally fight hand to hand understand unless he's wearing armor or that one time he became the Abomination, so it's hard to conceivably say that's who he's playing, but at the very least it makes sense thematically for this film. And you know what, I could even see him appear in something like She-Hulk Season 2 down the line. Would a character as small as 14 be a waste of Giancarlo's talents? Absolutely. I want him to play as big of a role as he's willing to take on at this point. But I have no doubts that with his talents he'd be able to take this character and elevate him to a star player in the MCU. Also, not to get sidetracked, but if he were to play a more important character in the MCU, I have the perfect person in mind. That's right, this is turning into a video where I fancast who he should play. Giancarlo is a phenomenal villain, don't get me wrong. He has killed it in every single chance he's gotten. But that's the thing, he's always playing a villain, it feels like. After his breakout role as Gus Fring, he just kept getting asked to do that again and again and again. I mean, Christ, he did it in DuckTales! With his talents, I want him to be able to play different characters that don't always ask for that same kind of cold tone. Ideally, I'd love if he got a chance to play a hero for once, to see him in a new kind of light that we haven't before. In my opinion, he would be the perfect fit for a character like Blue Marvel. Chronologically, one of the Marvel Universe's earliest heroes, Adam Brashear, was a veteran and scientist who got caught in an explosion and basically became a living antimatter reactor all the way back in the early 1960s. He went on to become the hero Blue Marvel, concealing his identity with a full-face helmet. But this is unfortunately a story of tragedy, as his identity was exposed, and on the day he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom, JFK forced him to retire because he didn't think America was ready for a black superhero. I guess JFK wasn't so open-minded after all. Oh no, wait, he definitely was at one point. Anyways, to make a long story short, Blue Marvel would return one day, in spite of all the terrible racists, to use his powers for good. It's a really nice ending for the character and someone who doesn't get brought up nearly enough. I think he'd be a perfect choice for this more cosmic era of the MCU, and Giancarlo would be able to bring him to life with ease. I know it's too late now since he's playing a mysterious villain, but I've had that fan casting idea for a long time and needed to get it out of my system. He's of course gonna kill as whatever villain they cast him as, hopefully Bushman, since he could at least play an unhinged character. It'll be really exciting to see what route they go for this very talented actor. If it were up to me, I don't think they should reveal who he is playing in any of the trailers or marketing. Keep it this big mystery to surprise us for once when we get to the theaters. Unless it's really underwhelming, then just tell me immediately. But I have faith it'll be exciting. To see him appear at Brave New World in general is a huge sign of hope to me that they're taking this movie seriously and doing all that they can to make Sam's first movie as Captain America perfect, as it should be. As some of you may know, he's my favorite character, so I can't wait to see how things go next year when the movie finally releases. With an MCU debut as long awaited as Giancarlo's, I'm very hopeful that we are in for a treat. But thank you all for watching. Hopefully I was right about one of these choices, otherwise I'm going to look like a huge bozo. What do you think though? Is there anyone I missed that you think could be a real candidate for this mystery role? I'd love to hear what everyone else has to say because this is driving me crazy. And if you want to see more of my craziness, you can click right here to watch another video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. If you don't do it, I'm going to have Marvel edit Giancarlo out of the movie, so this will all be for nothing, and then I'm going to be sad and I'm going to blame you.